Well, thank you all for coming. It's so nice to have you here, and it's my pleasure to introduce Paul Beatty to you tonight. Some of you have met him before, and it's so nice to have you come back. I've been listening to Paul for going on 9 years now, usually every month, and I'm always learning. It's just fascinating, and I think you're in for a real treat. And it's good of you to come, be open-minded, and you'll be a little more out of the box by the time you finish hearing what Paul has to say. Paul was really very, very, very ill, critically ill, and realizing that he was not going to make it, he reached out, and he's going to share his story with you, how he came to meet a renowned scientist in this field of essential fatty acids, Dr. David Harbin, a British scientist, and Dr. Meher Manku from Nairobi, Kenya. And he's been meeting and many specialists and attending world conferences. He was sharing, Dr. David Suzuki got to hear about his work. Paul was paying it forward and had people coming out of the woodwork to hear him about healing chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Dr. David Suzuki heard about him and invited him on his show. He did a special show on chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. He's been on W5, he's been on CBC's The Journal, and he hasn't done any work or any shows lately for the last couple of years. He was on the Dinny Petty Show and the Shirley Show, and wrote numerous articles in a Live magazine, and after one particular one where he wrote about the effects of Ritalin on children, his family were threatened, so he's been keeping a low profile ever since. Families are pretty special. And he's on the board of the Ontario Myalgic Encephalomyelitis Association, and he's a founding member of the Holton Hamilton Wentworth ME Association. ME, it goes for chronic fatigue.
Myalgic encephalomyelitis.
Yeah. Paul's got 3 degrees from McMaster, an MBA, a BA, and a BPhD, which is a Bachelor of Physical Health and Education. This information he's going to share with you tonight is not being taught in the mainstream medicine. It's really orthomolecular medicine, which is a pretty new science, even though people have known about it for more than 20 years now. And Paul has been sharing this information for more than 20 years as well. Paul's helped me get over dyslexia. He's helped my brother reverse macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts. And we've seen all manner of illnesses. We've got 2 ladies here tonight who I don't think would be here if it wasn't for Paul sharing this information. And lost my train. Anyway, welcome, and I think you're really happy that you came out tonight to hear this information.
Thanks, Susan. I always thank Susan because, you know, she does such a wonderful job of hosting these things once a month and helping people out. We're going to hear a couple stories soon about people who were sent home to die 8-10 years ago, you know, with just little things like liver cancer, intestinal cancer, colorectal cancer, bone cancers, you know, these sorts of things. And you know, it's what you need to understand is that the first step in all of these stories is taking charge of your health yourself. And you need to sit back and say to yourself, okay, what the medical profession is doing with a lot of these diseases isn't working. And I don't care whether this is the proper process or this is the way it should be. Is if it isn't working, it isn't working. So if you're interested in results, you've got to look outside the box, because the box they painted isn't working for just about every disease out there. Do you know there's only been one cure in the last 70 years by the medical profession? Basically, that's antibiotics. It's the only cure there's been. And the reason that there's no more cures is they're not in the business of curing disease. They're in the business of treating disease and making money. So it's interesting. Wendy Mesley did a story on that in Marketplace, right? And it saw millions of people saw it, and she interviewed top pharmaceutical executives in Europe, and of course they admitted they weren't looking for a cure for cancer, just a better treatment than their competition so they can increase share value. And it's interesting, after they played that a couple times, it was basically blackballed off the websites of Marketplace and so forth. And there was no more, because she was going to do follow-ups, there was no more, and the reason she got involved, she had breast cancer. And it was I just found it very interesting that after all that was sort of pushed aside, that she got promoted to an anchor. Anyways. True or false?